So this is a learning worklet. Okay.
Mm.
So these are all the kind of under learning worklets, kind of menu items I can say, which are accessible
Mm.
for all the employees. So on their
Mm.
learning area, if they wanted to view their learning history, so
Mm.
they can get into learning history and view their completions. And if they wanted to view any kind of courses, they can get into browse learning area, and they can find list of courses here. Okay.
Mm.
And similarly, if for any of the courses that they have started, which are in progress, which are in not started status, and if they wanted to generate a transcript for that one, they have all these are in a delivered setups. So how Workday has given a kind of transcript kind of setup, they can view all
Mm.
those things and all. So they can get it here, they can export that, they can generate a PDF of the transcript and all.
Mm.
That is how the kind of learning worklet is designed for all the employees, which can be accessible for all the learners with all the learning
Mm.
content. So now to enable this one, what I've done is I just so this is where I've used implementers here, and I got that learning worklet enabled on the landing page, and also the other domain that I've used is learning access.
Mm.
This is the main domain which gives permissions to all the learning areas to access courses now. So implementer,
Mm.
learning administrator, contingent, all employees who will have access to learning, and this gives access to the dashboard as well. Now, based on this setup that I've made here, if I go to dashboard,
Mm. What is this? A dashboard? Home dashboard?
yeah, yeah. So we have attached this learning worklet to home dashboard on landing page. Whatever you wanted to populate on your landing page, that has to be in home dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see here, learning I've attached, and based on the domain security that I've assigned, all those security groups have pre-populated here. The moment I select
Mm.
learning, those will be pre-populated. Okay, based on the domain
Mm.
security setup.
Mm.
So all the securities are there. People who are assigned with the security group, this learning worklet will be available to them.
Mm. Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
that's how you enable your learning and learning admin worklets to all intended team members.
Mm. And if
Okay.
you there is something I read on the community that there is a home and discover.
Home and discover, that is for recruiting, no? Discovery
No, no.
dashboards.
For home is there. For learning, it is there. If you go to maintain dashboard or I think feature, it's an opt-in feature. If you have opted in, your home page of learning will become a tile-based view.
like this, just like this. However, you're saying,
Yeah,
so
feature,
like this,
maintain feature or manage feature, something is there, right? To
no,
opt
no.
into feature.
So on it will be as a kind of slide bar. You'll be seeing that option. Okay, so that's how
Hmm.
recruiting that currently that feature is enabled for recruiting. So you'll be seeing a kind of slide bar at the side, and when you click on the recruiting, you'll be getting into recruiting dashboards and all. Similarly, you're seeing that has been enabled for the learning. You're seeing, right?
Hmm.
That's how even
Main,
for learning you'll be seeing.
hmm. Not maintain dash. Okay. Learning experience, I think.
Learning experience. There is no worklet item called learning experience. Diversity is one thing, which will be available for all the slidings and all. Learning admin,
Okay.
learning trainer.
Go to manage feature or maintain feature is there, no?
Maintain feature.
Hmm.
Is that task? I don't think maintain feature tasks.
Or manage feature, either one of them. Yeah, maintain feature. Okay. Here, if you just do a control F and give, yeah, in moment discover or learning experience, either one of them. I think it's learning experience only. Yeah.
And there is no specific this thing for that. There's just used for learning paths, new learning paths and all. But content wise,
This is
you have
learning. This
to,
is learning path, is it?
yeah, learning
Okay.
path.
Just not learning path exactly. In feature name, just type home. Is there anything on home? Yes, this one.
What did you see when you opted in your tenant? Did you see any difference?
What? Yes,
You see,
yes. It is
you see
like
anything?
tile based,
Slides, okay.
tile based interface. I wanted to know how we can improve this user experience here in the tenant.
Hmm.
How can we improve user experience? Because these tiles are like there is something called as tiles. Sorry, highlight card and spotlight card. I think
Okay. Those are, I
so.
think, current features, I believe. Current features worked as released as part of R2, I believe. Where
Hmm.
did you get into any preview tenant, or you're actually doing in deployment tenant?
No, actually, we have a GMS tenant.
Yeah, I don't think currently in all production tenants, that feature is deployed.
Hmm.
Mm.
I also want if you have because you are implementing Workday learning, right? You would have
Implemented.
got some implemented, right? So
Yeah.
you would have got some experience as to how all the home page will differ from customer to customer. If you can just share some best practices or share some screenshots of some home pages, probably if you mask
So
out the
now,
data, it's okay.
with current release, current not current release, with the last release, so Workday has changed the complete design of the landing page. Okay, so earlier, we
Mm.
used to have all the worklets used to populate on our landing page. Whatever worklet that we wish to have on our landing page, we used to give access to all the intended users. Now Workday has removed the feature of worklets populating on the landing page. So they have given a kind of a dashboard called this thing, what do you say, the managed kind of dashboard, where you'll see all those worklets within that dashboard, but not on landing page. Okay, landing page, you'll just see kind of quick links that will be navigating to whatever a dashboard
Mm.
that you wanted to view, but nothing.
Mm.
If you wanted to give any announcement to all the employees in your organization, that kind of options, you can announce something, that option is there to announce. And the dashboard with single click, you'll be getting into all the, like how we got into all this kind of worklets. So that quick link you can arrange. And any kind of custom message that you wanted to populate on the landing page, such kind of things, you have a control. But redesigning the entire landing page as how we used to have earlier, with the content that needs to be populated, that feature, they've actually made it in different way to get into different kind of dashboards and access those worklets, like
Mm.
however you're
Not
seeing
the
here.
Workday landing page. I'm talking about the learning landing page. So,
Learning, there is no learning landing page. There is a kind of a worklet, we call it as a worklet. So whatever
yeah.
items that you wanted to see, if you see here,
Mm.
learning, if you see here, you'll be getting into this. And if you wanted to browse, as a kind of employee, if you wanted to browse any kind of learning content or view transcript, whatever, and I was showing,
So
so
this is
those will
what I
be
was.
actually.
Yeah, this is what I was referring to. For example, if you go to my learning, this is a long tile, right? Lengthy
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
So is there any option to have a shorter tile? Because there is a lot of blank space which is useless, right? And also there is, I mean, do we have option to put in some image for these tiles? Means our image. Can we
No,
resize the tile? Can we put in an image to the tile?
no. Those kind of page level customizations, Workday has not given access to customers to manage on their own. So this comes with the built-in a kind of dashboard that Workday offers to use whatever they have given, but they didn't give access to customers, to control that complete content to view in a way that we wanted to have customize, with all the display settings and all. They have not given that kind of control. So with the
Mm.
recruiting hub, the learning, this learning opt-in feature I have not yet seen in deployment in it, but considering the same kind of discovery sessions for recruiting module, where we've enabled that one. So considering that thing, that kind of the customizing the complete this homepage of the specific module, so that kind of control, customers don't have that kind of control. So Workday will
Mm.
be actually releasing that one, which can be used if we wanted to have. But there is no way that we can add something that we wanted to have here, or kind of images that we wanted to push on landing page. I think whatever you wanted to announce something or do something, we have. But here, something, this is specific kind of browsing tile, that I can say that Workday has released to its customers. So there is no
Mm.
task also to control these things. So once we opt in that feature, that will be populating on your specific learning screen. But there is no setting, that can be where we can add multiple items into that tile and all.
Mm,
There is no such kind of item.
mm,
But let me this test this in my deployment tenant. I don't
mm,
think this learning deployment tenant, this feature is in our learning deployment tenant, but probably let me see in my official tenant, see what they've offered and all, and probably accordingly I'll see. But this is
mm,
something which a
yeah,
regular Workday learning page,
mm,
will be populated as how you
mm,
wanted to have, if you wanted to browse learning
mm,
content, if you wanted to access anything related to courses and all, you should be able to do that one as a learner.
mm, mm. If you have some example of some home pages now, how it looks for different customers, if you can share that also, that will be helpful for me.
Mhm. Okay, so when I've implemented this feature was not there actually. So I've
Mm,
implemented for couple of customers. I've designed dashboard as per their experience and they wanted to have, but
mm,
this feature was not there when I've implemented for learning customers and all. So
mm,
landing page kind of design, that the implementation was not in scope actually,
mm,
but landing
mm,
pages, however, they wanted to have with the worklets and all, what items they wanted to see in worklets and what kind of reports still that can be customized to populate in dashboard and all those kind of things. And if you want it, I can share those items. But this thing, I'll need to explore a
yeah.
little bit in deployment tenant, because this is the latest feature, and need to see the description of this feature, and kind of brainstorm suggestions whatever Workday has got while they have implemented this one, what kind of considerations that they have taken to get this to customers and all. So I need to just actually do a kind of brief lookout on the
Mm,
release, and probably see do we have a control to actually
mm,
manage this kind of landing page within learning. Probably
mm,
I'll
mm,
just check that feature in our release calendar, and probably see if there is any way that we can control this thing.
mm, mm. Yeah, whatever you can share, it will be helpful.
Sure, sure. So right now, you guys are in implementation phase, or you're live with learning?
We are just live, so we want to know what all can be done because I see lot of scope for improvement.
Okay, so when you say a lot of things has to be improved, so it's part of design that you're seeing, or a part of content also you're actually expecting something has to be changed or something needs to be done.
We have lot of content already. Okay, so mainly the user experience and probably enabling more features
Hmm.
that would be required. Actually, I was not there while this was getting implemented. Also, I joined
Okay.
newly, right? So
Mm.
I've just joined when it's almost going to be launched. So
Okay.
yeah, that's why I want to see what all improvement areas are there because once only when I know I will be able to suggest some things, right?
Hmm. Yeah. So, so business process settings and all, have you gone through what kind of setups that they have made? For employees to access the learning content and all, because those are actually regular transactions that employee will be getting into,
Yeah.
managing course and enrolling into the course, any kind of
Mm-hmm.
conditional logic that your business has,
Mm-hmm.
implementing those conditions while enrolling into that course, or
Yeah.
those kind of something, um,
Yeah.
which will give
This is
flexibility.
right. It's a little bit complex. Like
Mm.
we have extended enterprise learners also, and we have a lot of them. And then uh,
Oh, even extended
approvals.
enterprise. Okay.
Yes, yes. And approvals are supposed to go to them, their affiliation managers, those kind of
Yes.
things. But I am not aware that much as to how this is work, how this will all
Okay.
work. So, yeah.
Okay. So extended enterprise, I said, right? There is a different setup, that we can make for that one. As how,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
learning,
yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
be
We'll
making
go with the flow.
different
Correct.
different setup, we'll be making for extended enterprise. Like, for employees, there will be a supervisory organization. The
Mm,
manager of that supervisory organization will be a kind of reporting manager for an employee.
mm,
But in extended enterprise learning module, affiliation manager would be the person who will be a kind
mm,
of organization manager. Let's say India. Okay, India will
mm,
be
mm,
one kind of affiliation. Okay, India will be one
mm,
affiliation, and for India there will be affiliation manager. And
mm,
whatever courses, that has to be assigned for India employees, this affiliation manager will be pushing those those courses as part of campaigns to all the
mm,
India employees. And once they complete, or they start performing that course, the affiliation manager will be having a control to track the completions, and send a kind of reminders and all.
mm, 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 mm.
So
Okay.
there can be one affiliation manager for multiple affiliations. Let's say Tyson, India, Mexico,
Mm,
and in Australia, kind of
mm,
countries are there. And for all these countries, there will be one affiliation manager, one superior
mm,
affiliation. One affiliation manager can manage multiple affiliations, kind of things, that we can make.
mm, 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 mm.
Okay.
Okay.
That is one thing which you need to actually see in your
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
When we reach that, we will discuss that. We'll go
okay.
in this flow which you have. Yeah.
So yeah, we have seen domains, assigning of domains to security groups, and how security groups will be having permissions to that particular domain. We've just seen when we accessed learning worklet. Okay, so learning worklet, learning access we have given for all the implementers, learning administrators, employees, and contingent workers. And when we attach this learning worklet to dashboard, so all those security groups will be getting permissions to view that learning worklet. If you wanted to control at domain level, you can control the security. When you control the security at domain level, you should be able to control that in dashboard. But if you're not controlling, at domain level, but if you wanted to control in dashboard, you can just remove that security group. But again, it will be available in the list of security groups. Someone who doesn't know any kind of dashboard setting, if they can see that security group and they can attach that one. But if you wanted to completely restrict the security access at dashboard level, you must do that controlling part at domain level. So when you do that in domain level, any security setup, whether it could be at dashboard level, or it could be at any kind of report level or integration level, it will be restricted actually.
Mm,
Okay. Now we'll see something on business process. Okay, so
okay.
business process is nothing but a kind of sequence of tasks which employee will be performing. Okay, let's
Mm,
say let's say enroll into the course. Okay.
mm. And these are business processes which are provided by Workday only, right? We can't create our own business process.
So you cannot create any business process on your own, but you can enhance, or you can add
Yeah.
the steps that you
Mm,
wanted to have to any of the business process that Workday has provided. But you
yeah.
cannot create new business process right from the scratch.
Right.
So there are certain business process, that Workday has provided for learning area. The mainly used one is mass enroll is one thing, which will be used for enrolling, and drop learning enrollment, which will based on the say setup that you'll be making here, you'll be giving a kind of flexibility for an employee to drop the enrollment, if they wanted to de-enroll from the course. So all these things, we'll be seeing as part of core configurations. So what kind of setup that needs to be made for this drop learning enrollment, what kind of reasons that we need to give for giving a kind of flexibility for an employee while dropping from the enrollment, what are the reasons that employee can choose to drop from the enrollment. All those things, we'll be seeing in configurations. That now, we'll focus on business process. What are the
mm,
available business process? How you control, how you actually give flexibility for employees or for business users to perform certain tasks in Workday Learning. So, based on business process security policy, you'll be giving that kind of access to employee. So I said, right, domain is nothing but which will allow you to see and access the data in Workday. But business
mm, mm,
process security policy, which will allow you to perform the transaction and to view, to approve that one, to resign that one if you are a manager, to approve your team members enrollment, or to deny that one, to send back that one. All this kind of transactions you will be able to perform through business process security policy setup.
mm, mm,
Now, if someone asks you, can you differentiate between BPV security policy and domain security policy? What would be your straightforward answer?
Security policy is only a little bit confusing for me.
Okay, so
Um,
let me again, reframe this one. So we
yeah.
have two security policies. One is BP security policy, and the other one is domain security policy. Domain security
Mm,
policy we have seen so far. So we have accessed multiple domains and assigned security groups. That, for example, learning access domain we have accessed, and we have given
mm,
permissions to employees, contingent workers,
mm,
implementers, and learning admins. So we have given learning access to all the security groups. Now, people who are associated with the security group can view something related to learning, can view
mm,
learning
mm.
worklet, can earlier,
Yeah.
we have seen that learning worklet was not populating on our dashboard screen, right, on home dashboard.
Mm,
We were not
mm,
able to see that learning worklet because
mm.
that domain permissions were not enabled to learning administrators or implementers or employees, anything. Okay, they were not
Yeah.
able to see that learning worklet. So we have went into that particular domain, given that access to intended security groups, and then when we activated policies, we were able to see that learning worklet populated on our landing page. Similarly, similarly, BP
Mm,
security policy. BP security policy, if you are actually creating Workday account, okay. So if you are creating
mm,
a Workday account, who has to create that Workday account? Okay. So if you are an
mm.
employee, you shouldn't have access to create a Workday account. Security administrators should have access to create a Workday account. Such kind of things, will be, for example, I'll just show.
Create Workday
Okay.
account.
So this is a kind of one business process. So this is just an example I'm giving,
Mm-hmm.
which can relate to learning business process. So create
Mm,
Workday account is nothing but creating Workday account. Who has to create a
mm,
Workday account? You'll
mm.
be defining that permissions here.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If you go to BP
Got it.
security policy, BP policy,
Mm-hmm.
who can start the business
Okay.
process, who can create the business process, who can create the
Mm,
business process in the sense who can start or initiate the transaction. So you'll be giving
mm.
all the security groups here. Okay, these are
Okay.
implementer can create a security group.
Mm,
You can see some meaning, some dummy security groups also you'll be seeing, because this is a training tenant, but in
Mm.
regular tenant, you'll be seeing actual security groups here. Okay, security partner, security admin will be having access to create a Workday account. So such way you can define any security, the security policy of that particular business process transaction in the BGP policy. Now here, so people who are associated with the security group should be able to create Workday account. Okay, and
Mm. Mm.
similarly, if we write any condition, okay, if we write any condition that once Workday account is created, it has to go for manager for approval. Such kind of condition you would have written, no? So who has to approve that one? So all the security groups,
Mm.
security administrator has to approve that one. All the security
Okay.
groups, whatever are listed, can have access to approve that particular transaction. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So how did you go to this page?
So just to access that particular BP and go
Okay.
to related actions of
Okay. Mhm.
go to the related
Okay.
actions of that particular BP,
Okay.
BP policy.
Okay. BP policy. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Mm. I
so
got
you
that
can
now.
see a lot of transaction, business process transactions. Who has to cancel that? Any kind of
Right. Right.
action that employee, or whichever security that you will be configuring, who will be having permissions to cancel that particular transaction. So you can give
Right.
those security groups here, and resign who needs to send back that
Mm.
particular transaction. So you'll give all the list of security groups, and similarly
Mm.
reassigning, and all those things. The type of security that you'll be,
Mm.
based on the security setup that you'll be making. uh, when the transaction is initiated, based on the security group that that you have assigned here, it will be going in that flow actually. So based on the
Okay.
steps that you would have defined in the business process, based on the approval chain that you would have defined in the business process, the list of
Mm.
security groups will be populated in the approval list, and who can take action, or who can
Mm.
cancel the transaction, who can resign the transaction, or who can approve that one.
Mm-hmm. Got it
Based on
now.
this
Yeah.
setup, you'll be making. So this is one of the example, that I've taken, since create Workday account is something, which will be more easily understandable kind of task, that I took. And similarly, when you
Mm.
relate this to Workday learning kind of business process.
Mm.
If you see mass enroll, okay.
Mm.
Mass enroll. So what steps are there once enrollment is initiated? Action enroll in content related process.
Mm.
Something, action that has to be taken, but no approvers or no additional steps are configured. But if you go to the security of this BP, so here you can control here who has to enroll into this thing.
Mm.
Who has to perform this kind of mass enrollment. Okay. So
Mm.
there are no security groups, but we'll see how we can manage this thing. So who has to perform this mass enrollment? Basically,
Mm.
learning administrator will be having access to perform
Mm.
mass enrollment of employees into this thing.
Mm. Mm.
And who has to approve this thing? Managers will obviously have access to approve, and even in certain cases, even learning administrator will be having control, to approve any of the task related to learning enrollments.
Mm.
If you wanted to send back of your, if you wanted if you wanted to cancel these things, you can actually who will be having the permissions to cancel this one, learning admin. So, these are the things here that I was saying based on your customer security requirement or business requirement. You will be setting up the security at BP level.
Mm.
So now I've given access to learning administrator to actually perform mass enrollment kind of task. Who
Mm.
can enroll? Basically, managers also will be having access.
Mm.
So I've actually assigned a learning administrator who will be actually having permissions to enroll anyone into the particular course. Once we make any security changes at BP level, we need to activate that security policy.
Mm. I find it challenging to know what tasks to enter or what should be entered in the search box. So that is what I feel the challenge, because
Um,
there is no menu items which you can select from, right? We
so
need to,
you
yeah,
So one thing is you need to know the task or you need to know what you need to do. So these are the two things that you need to know. So if you are not aware of
no,
the task, what you need to perform, sitemap is one thing that is going to help you.
mm,
Just get into any of your non-production environment and
mm,
ask your security administrator to give access to that sitemap so that you can
mm,
download that all the list of items, a list of tasks um,
mm,
in learning in a kind of spreadsheet, and probably you can
mm.
actually access them
Okay,
in any of your non-production until you get familiar with the task related. Since
right,
you're new to Workday learning, so probably you'll be, but just it's just if you wanted to create a example I'm saying, if you
yeah,
wanted to create, if you're a Workday developer, or no, if you wanted to create
mm,
a report, just
yeah,
enter the task called create report. If you wanted to create integration is the task. If you wanted to delete report is the task. If you wanted to create a calculated field, create calc field is
mm,
the task. So like that,
okay,
just basic things, whatever you wanted to do, just enter that in search bar. Those related items will be populated on your landing page. Let's say if you
right,
wanted
right.
to now in learning, if you wanted to create course, okay.
Mm. So, for example, I want to edit a location of a person, for example.
So you cannot edit a location of the person. You can edit a location, but if you wanted to edit a location of a person, you wanted to go into the employee. You wanted to edit. You can edit employee contact information, and there you can change the location of that employee directly. If you wanted to edit the location, your view location is one thing. You can access the task called view location. Enter the location. Location will be edited. Let's say India. Let's say Hyderabad. Would be one location. If you wanted to actually just correct the spelling of Hyderabad, you can
Mm,
just view location Hyderabad, just correct that one. But if you wanted to
mm,
correct the location of Amit, okay, you need to actually go to Amit's profile, Amit's contact information, edit Amit's contact information, and there you can change whatever contact information of Amit that you wanted to update.
mm, Contact me. Okay, okay, like that. Mm,
Okay,
mm, okay, got it.
so
Now I understood BP security policy and domain
hmm,
security policy. So that is the place where we define as to who all should get access to what.
yes. Yes. Who can control what? Who can access what? Who can see what?
Okay.
Domain security policy says who can see what, who can view what, and
Domains.
who
Okay.
can modify what. So that also,
Right.
you'll be giving access to modify also to certain areas of Workday for employees or for any kind of for developers or any kind of support people, we'll be giving some kind of permissions to modify. Let's say if support person of end user support person is there, so he need to access all the requests that is getting from an employee. um, as an example, what you asked, if employee is having a kind of address change kind of requirement, so that he'll be
Mm.
reaching out to that support person. That support person will need to have specific permissions to perform that task, right? So what we'll be giving,
Mm.
we'll be giving user level permissions and modify access to that particular support person. So whatever, employee will be reaching out, to edit the profile information and all that, the support person will be taking care.
Mhm. Got it.
Okay. And similarly BP. So if any employee is actually any employee or any kind of business process transaction that any person is performing in Workday, be in the background, whatever security that you would have defined that particular PP, that will be actually controlling or allowing any person who is doing that business process transaction to proceed further.
Mm.
Okay, based on the conditions, I think we will be doing some task also. So we'll be doing while we are creating courses, probably we'll create one course with cost associated course, and we'll define one business process rule that if course is cost associated, it has to go for a kind of manager approval, and we'll define that kind of setup,
Yeah.
in a kind of configuration thing. So you'll see
Right.
how that process will actually work when we
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
configuration.
Okay. Perfect.
So that thing, probably will be doing, will be doing. I think today, we'll be closing all, high level description of components, including the business process, and probably, tomorrow from tomorrow, we'll be starting the core configurations. Uh, like dropping enrollment and learning validation things and business process tasks, all those things, actual configuration part, which are typically used in Workday Learning. We'll be actually starting the configurations in our next session. Today, with this today's session, till today's session, what you will be getting a kind of brief understanding is how you can actually control domains, how you can actually control business process. If there is any kind of controlling enhancement that you'll be getting, to perform in any of the Workday Learning BP, so you how to identify those BP, how to enhance that one, and how you can add any kind of additional steps to that particular business process. So we'll be seeing, till today's session, you will be getting a kind of high level understanding on the component areas. But from our next session, configuration areas, we'll be focusing. After the configurations, we'll be getting into reporting. After reporting, we'll be actually seeing a kind of performing kind of EIB task, to upload or dump data into
Mm.
Workday kind of things, we'll be seeing. With that, I think, we should be covering everything in terms of learning.
Yeah. I also need to understand like calculated fields, what all we can do, how we can do
Calculated
calculated
field
fields.
is not part of learning actually. That is part of the technical area where in reporting, it comes actually.
Mhm.
Calculated
Yeah.
fields are, people who are associated with the reporting administrator or a developer development background. So will be those
Mm.
people, will be performing, the report creations and integration creations, calc field creations. Those are a little technical, I can say. So
Mhm.
your role
Because
is related to learning, or your role is related to any kind of technical thing.
yeah, it's mixture of both. So I am in the DevOps team.
Okay, so what you'll be, what kind of responsibilities that you'll be having? Is it really restricted to learning, or across Workday that you'll be actually looking? What kind of, so that I'll be able
Yeah.
to let you know what kind
Right
of
now,
contribute.
I'm only part of learning. Okay.
Okay, okay,
So I'll be making sure that if there is any new feature comes in, what all improvements can be done and how we
okay,
have to configure. We have to do the proof of concept for all the features and what all new things we can bring in those things.
okay.
Testing, create custom reports.
hmm So custom reports you'll be creating.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what kind did you get a chance to create any reports so far, or what
I
kind
have
of
edited
reports?
the
Okay.
edited a couple of custom reports. Uh,
Related learning,
Learning, yes.
specific to learning. Okay, okay. Mm.
Yeah. Edited a couple
Then
of
I think
custom reports.
probably it would be helpful to actually have some understanding of Calfit also. Basically,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who are managing reports, who will be actually creating integrations, for doing some kind of programming work, will
Mm,
be actually focusing on Calcfill, because Calcfills will reduce the efforts of writing a program. And
mm,
if you're actually if you wanted to tweak any data that is sitting in Workday,
mm,
calc fields will allow you to tweak the data. If you wanted to, let's say Amit is there, okay, when Amit is there, you wanted to actually populate a Workday trainer kind of term, that you wanted to populate. If employee is Amit, then it has to return in a report that Workday SME kind of kind of word, that has to return in a report. So you'll define a logic in calculated field, the kind of calculated field
yeah.
function you're using. You'll be defining that logic, and you'll be tweaking that data. So because of, Amit is sitting in Workday, so based on the Workday
Mm,
data, that you're defining some logic here to populate some
mm,
other data when that condition is true. Kind of
yeah,
setup, you'll be
yeah,
making in calculated fields actually.
yeah. For example, we have to create an alert. We have to create a notification. So those kind of
Those
things I would like to.
those are not calculated fields. Those are separate tasks actually. So if you
Mm.
wanted to create any notification, you need to actually get into PP. If you wanted to create alert, what alert that you wanted to create, who are the intended users,
So
to
for
whom you wanted.
alert, creating alert, we need a note. We need a report to be created first, right?
Yes, yes. So who are all the intended users? You wanted to
Mm,
send alert.
mm,
So if you wanted to
mm.
send to new hires, if you wanted to send to specific group of
Yeah,
employees, if you wanted to, send to only managers, such kind of information that you need to have, that kind of, result that you need to get as part of report creation, and then, configure alert, so that that will be sending a kind of alert notification to those recipients.
right, right, yeah.
So probably alert also I'll take it. Generally, alert is not part of this thing. That's a kind of regular thing. But probably when we are actually going in configuration, just remind me this thing. I'll show you how. I'll just create one simple report, and
Mm,
we'll see how we can attach that report to alert. And
mm,
so probably we'll configure your Gmail thing to the alert. We'll see how
mm.
alert will be triggered to that Gmail account.
Okay. Now, if I, for example, if I want to change the output of a report,
Mm-hmm.
can we do it? Meaning, now browse learning catalog is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Browse
Yeah.
learning course
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
So I want right now when we.
Those are actually standard reports. Okay. So you don't have
Hmm,
control, to change the output. What you need to do is you need to copy that report to custom report. Then you can enhance whatever you wanted to have. So if you go to the
right.
task called copy standard report
Right.
to custom report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I took standard report. Now
Mm,
I'm copying this thing. Okay.
right. Right.
So these are this is basically kind of search report. Okay, so it
Mm-hmm.
will be listing all the search results that you entered. Okay, now if
Right.
you wanted to enhance, add a filter. Okay,
Mm.
so at topic level, if you wanted to do any kind of searching of the courses, you can actually go here and add change your output of the report.
Mm.
Basically, there are no topics created still. That way, you can actually change your output of your report. Not only this report, any of the report.